people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
De la noche, Stephanie Piñeiro.
That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news. Ow!
Okay, and now it's time for our continued coverage of this past weekend's action. The co-main event to the main event, Serrano versus Cruz, the undisputed super featherweight title fight between Alicia Baumgardner, the champion, and Mekhaled, the spirited challenger.
Let's talk about what we saw. I gave the first 2 rounds to Alicia Baumgardner.
In the opening round, you saw Alicia Baumgardner controlling the distance, countering Mekhaled with singles, who was quite aggressive.
That's what I told you.
I told you that would happen, that Mekhaled would try her best to hit the gas and impose herself on Alicia, who tried to pick her off from the outside. And she did that in the first round that got off to a slow start. In the second round, things picked up.
Alicia Baumgardner was still managing the distance, picking off LM from the outside, who was still very aggressive.
Still trying to impose herself on Alicia. 1 minute into the second round, Alicia got off a big counter shot.
But LM, towards the tail end of the round, landed 2 good shots of her own, 2 good right hands. It was a more lively round than the first one was.
Gave those first 2 rounds to Alicia Baumgardner. The third round, which was a very big round for Alicia. She landed a big right-hand counter over the top of Mekhaled's jab, scored a knockdown.
LM was visibly hurt on spaghetti legs. Alicia Baumgardner smelt blood, went in for the kill, scored a second knockdown in that same round.
Emptied the gas tank, the proverbial gas tank, unloading salvos of punches, waves of punches. How LM made it out of that round, I don't know.
10-7 round for Alicia Baumgardner.
Ilham was off to a horrific start in the first 3 rounds of this match, having already lost the previous 2 rounds, at least on my card, and the 2 knockdowns in the third.
A severe deficit going into the fourth,
where we saw a silver lining for the challenger attempting to unseat the champion. It got off to a very slow start because Alicia Baumgardner, as stated, she emptied out the gas tank in the previous round. She was tired. And LM, she made the most of it. She was the busier fighter in the round. I have to say that rounds 4 and 5.
Ilham was the more aggressive fighter in round 4 and 5.
Throwing those flurries, those combinations, still very aggressive. Supernatural powers of recovery, getting her legs back under her after that horrific third round. Rounds 4 and 5, I feel like those rounds went to Ilham.
Even though Ilham was hurt 2 times in the 5th round.
Staggered 2 times in the 5th round. She was still the busier fighter throughout, and I feel that was just enough for her to nick it.
Was just enough.
Round 6, Alicia took the initiative, started off the round stronger than the previous 2, let go of some combinations.
She was a lot more active in the 6th round than in the previous 2, and I gave Alicia the 6th round and the 7th round.
Gave Alicia that round as well. That's the round where she landed a big left hook, hurt Mekhaled, and started pouring it on again, the same way she did in the third round.
Visibly hurt Mekhaled, staggering off the ropes, trying her best to survive, and she did.
As Alicia Baumgardner closed the round strong, landing good body shot and a good uppercut, mid-range to inside.
Alicia Baumgardner started off the 8th round shooting singles, stalking Mekhaled, sensing that she was hurt, while Mekhaled's legs were visibly unsteady, having taken all that punishment in the previous round.
Alicia was in control for the better portion of the 8th round. I gave that 8th round to Alicia Baumgardner. I gave the 9th round to Mekhaled, who was...
Once again, she found her second wing. Those supernatural, almost supernatural powers of recovery. She was the busier fighter throughout, the majority of the 9th round.
And she finished that round strong, getting off clean punches on Alicia Baumgardner. The 10th round, the start of it, you could see that Alicia was tired at the start of that round. Mekhaled, still the aggressor, marching forward, trying to impose herself.
She landed a good right hand.
But I think that Alicia stole the round from her after she landed a short left, mid-range to inside. Got off an uppercut, a big uppercut that floored Mekhaled, though it wasn't even ruled a knockdown.
I've seen the fight twice. I still don't understand why that wasn't ruled a knockdown. It was so clearly off a punch.
The referee ruled it a slip. Sensing that Ilham was once again hurt, Alicia closed off the round strong, pouring it on, going after Mekhaled, looking for that knockout. Even though she didn't get it, she stole the round.
Clear points decision win for Alicia Baumgardner, which is what I predicted, what I expected. I understand that Alicia is a much bigger puncher than Mekhaled, but Elham is a tough fighter, very tough.
The evidence of that was in her previous bout with the hard-punching Gatling gun that is Delphine Persoon, a fighter that throws punches in bunches from the opening round to the final round. And I figured if Elham could survive the persistent assault from Delphine Persoon, she could at least finish the fight on her feet opposite the ring Alicia Baumgardner, even if she loses.
Loses a points decision. I did go with Alicia Baumgardner to win on points. That's exactly what she did in what was a thoroughly entertaining fight with ebbs and flows.
This may have turned out to be a tougher assignment for Alicia than perhaps she and many others anticipated. The odds makers had Alicia the significant favorite, and I understand that.
With good reason.
But now that many of you have seen the fight, you see what I'm talking about. Mekhaled is no pushover. She's going to get up and she's going to fight back.
I don't think for a second Hyun-Mi Choi could have withstood the punches that Mekhaled withstood.
I also happen to think if it were Mekhaled versus Hyun-Mi Choi, Elham.
Oh, she beat Hyun-Mi Choi. I have no doubts about that. She's a more well-rounded, tougher fighter than Hyun-Mi Choi is.
Alicia Baumgardner is now the super featherweight division's undisputed champion, winning all the marbles, all the belts in style. Looking good doing it.
A fighter who in the last year or so, give or take, has really endeared herself to the fans.
She's a great ambassador for the sport, that goes without saying. There's something there for everybody, but she's also an excellent fighter to watch. A true quality operator with a strong corner.
Get a corner advice from former WBC junior middleweight champion Tony Harrison. Excellent fucking stuff.
A lot of light was made of Alicia Baumgardner gassing out in rounds 4 and 5 and round 9 after unleashing salvos of punches. And I think what people are forgetting is that while she might have gassed out, most other super featherweights and most other lightweights, they wouldn't have survived the assault that Mekhaled survived.
Opposite the ring, most other girls, what Elham withstood in round 3, there wouldn't have been a round 4.
Chalk that up to Mekhaled just being a game fighter. She came up short opposite the ring Alicia Baumgardner, who is now this division's undisputed champion. And I imagine that she's not going to stay at super featherweight much longer. There's not that much reason to. She wants the big fish. She wants Amanda Serrano. She wants Katie Taylor, and I can't say as I blame her.
Well, that's how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to aim high.
Girl's a fucking superstar. Now do you see what I was talking about?
And all this fighter ever really needed was the platform to showcase what she could do. Now that she's got it, the world is her oyster.
Men's heavyweight news. You might have heard that Jarrell Big Gravy,
Big Baby,
Old Navy Miller, is set to return to action two times in the very near future. That's right. He actually has 2 fights, 2 separate bouts booked within close proximity of each other. But Jarrell Miller, he's hit the ground running because in many ways he has to, sporting a professional record of 25 wins with no losses, 1 draw, 21 knockouts.
As an unbeaten record.
Let's be honest, Jarrell Miller, he might have tested positive for more than one banned substance on more than one occasion, but he's hardly the first guy to piss hot in the sport of boxing. At this point,
without condoning or condemning,
anybody from Canelo Alvarez to Tyson Fury to more recently Conor Benn. Everybody's pissing hot. Everybody's testing positive for something. Seems to me that Jarrell Miller's testing positive these days for a positive attitude, having a positive outlook, scheduling 2 fights within close proximity of each other, one later on this month on the 23rd in Tanzania, and yet another with former WBA regular champion from Australia, Lucas Browne, next month on the 18th.
Why are those 2 fights so close together?
Well, Jarrell Miller's still on the comeback trail, He might have slapped up a couple of journeymen last year. He's got a few more to slap up this year because he's trying to get match fit. He's trying to get himself ready.
Ready for the upper echelon, guys. The kind of fights that'll put some money in his pocket, considerable money in his pocket.
I think he was away from the sport for something like 2 years due to his latest ban for performance-enhancing drugs, but now he's back.
He'll be opposite the ring in Benn, Oluokun.
Guy who sports a professional record of 22 wins with 13 losses, no draws, 39 years old, an orthodox fighter and a small fry as far as heavyweights go in today's era of heavyweights. The guy's only 6'1".
Yeah, that's small for a heavyweight these days. There's cruiserweights bigger than this guy.
And he's pushing 40, so you know what kind of fight it is. Now that fight's set to go down in Tanzania later on this month, towards the tail end of it. Next month on the 18th, Jarrell's supposed to be sharing the ring with Lucas Big Daddy Browne.
That one's in Dubai. Lucas is coming off his big upset win over Junior Fa. Hit that guy so hard he left him seasoned on the floor.
Upset is an understatement. I'm sure that Junior Fa wasn't none too pleased about getting splattered like that. I picked Junior Fa.
Junior Fa.
I thought Junior was going to splatter Lucas Browne. You have to remember that Lucas got stopped in something like 1 or 2 rounds by Paul Gallen, a rugby crossover boxer, guy who crossed over from rugby over into boxing. He actually stopped Lucas Browne, so I figured, well, an actual boxer, an actual pugilist could do a lot better. And as the boxing gods would have it, it was the opposite. Lucas stopped Junior Fa. Theater of the unexpected. Now, will Lucas Browne have the same luck opposite the ring? Jarrell Big Gravy?
Big baby.
Got so wavy Miller? I don't think so. I don't. Even now, even today's version of Jarrell Miller, I think, is a better fighter than Junior Fa.
More capable.
Lucas Browne has always had a decent-sized punch, and even when it comes to old guys, in the case of Lucas, who's 43, power in and of itself is the last thing to go, but the delivery system for that power and the snap in those punches, the snap in those shots, I just don't think Lucas is going to be fast enough to catch Jarrell Miller with the same shot he caught Junior Fa with.
And tack on that, in all likelihood, Jarrell Miller, to some degree, he will be sharper the night of the fight than Lucas Browne. Lucas hasn't seen action since June of last year when he stopped Junior Fa. He hasn't fought since then, whereas Jarrell, he's supposed to see action this month to take on Lucas next month.
It's going to be sharper. Where Lucas Browne only fought once last year, Jarrell Miller fought 2 times last year, and where Lucas Browne hasn't had a fight since last year, Jarrell Miller's supposed to have a fight this month.
You guys might not want to hear this, but Jarrell Miller,
for all his faults, he does have the potential to be somewhat of a showman. That mouthpiece of his. He can talk himself into a big fight so long as he keeps himself in the winner's bracket, keeps himself busy, keeps himself active, fighting, and winning. There's a chance that he could get into world title contention.
he can be the villain.
The bad guy, which for some fighters can be very marketable.
Very lucrative.
And let's not pretend that the powers that be, those promotional outfits, don't have their fair share of offenders and, in some instances, repeat offenders. It's hard to castigate Jarrell Miller for his performance-enhancing drug fiascos. When Tyson Fury tested positive for nandrolone, so did Luis Ortiz. Luis, he tested positive for banned substances 2 times.
So did the guy that Jarrell Big Gravy Miller's about to fight, Lucas Browne. He tested positive for banned substances 2 times.
Let's not virtue signal ourselves into a false sense of security and propagate this illusion that boxing ain't a dirty business. Jarrell Miller might be a dirty fighter, but he's a dirty fighter among many other dirty fighters, and what is a dirty business?
How many people do you think are losing sleep that John Pascal at light heavyweight tested positive for several performance-enhancing drugs, several banned substances, yet here today he's set to fight in an IBF title eliminator?
A final eliminator.
As part of a Lou DiBella promotion.
How many people do you think are losing sleep over that? How many bleeding hearts, how many altruistic fight fans on this side of the industry and the people on the other side of it, how many people do you really think are losing sleep over that? So we're gonna lose our minds that Jarrell Miller is back?
Stop it.
Big Gravy.
Big baby.
So long as he keeps this kind of schedule, keeps himself back in the winner's bracket, whether you guys like it or not only does he have the mouthpiece to talk himself into big fights, very big fights, even if some doors are closed.
Even if some bridges are burned.
Because I don't think Top Rank is going to want to do any more business with this guy. They're the ones who scooped him up after he screwed the pooch in the Anthony Joshua fight. And they gave him a second chance, but he blew it. I don't think Matchroom want anything to do with this guy. I don't think Top Rank want anything to do with him either. But that doesn't mean old fish eyes Frank Warren. That don't mean he can't find use for this guy. He might.
He's got Joe Joyce. He's got Daniel Dubois. He's got that Itawama kid he's grooming.
He's got heavyweights. He's got heavyweights that need fights.
Let's not pretend that the rules in the sport of boxing and the powers that be is so stringent that Jarrell Miller can't be offered an opportunity to box on a major platform.
He might. Even if both Top Rank and Matchroom jointly wish to blackball him, he's staying busy, he's staying active without their help. And if he does that long enough, old fish eyes Frank Warren might find use for him.
Use of him.
And just in keeping with the theme of performance-enhancing drug fiascos, per tweet from Michael Benson, Conor Benn is reportedly expected to not be banned from returning to the WBC's rankings, as it's been indicated that he will get a ruling in his favor from the WBC's investigation into his drug testing situation, separate from the BBBOC UCAT investigation that is still ongoing.
Been a lot of talk about this stuff the last week or so.
The WBC were reported to have received a 270-page explanation, medical letter, whatever it was, that the BBBOC didn't receive. I've no doubts that what Eddie Hearn, Conor Benn's legal team, all these good people are looking to do is supplement one case with the other. That if he's allowed back into the WBC's rankings based on their investigation,
they'll then use that as a precedence to get back in the BBBOC's good graces so that Conor can obtain a license in the United Kingdom.
Because the WBC by themselves can't give him one. They may sanction fights for their WBC title, but they're not an actual commission that issues out boxing licenses. So that still requires some reconciliation. For the time being, Conor might fight abroad. Who knows? Eddie Hearn has already started floating a few names out there. The names of guys like Terrence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao.
For a while. A long while. I expected that Conor would end up fighting Kell Brook. Kell Brook, who was eyeing the winner of
Eubank versus Smith right up until Smith knocked out Chris Eubank Jr. And now those two guys, they might end up fighting for a second time. Not that it matters, because Kell doesn't seem too enthused about facing Liam Smith. I think he was banking on Chris Eubank Jr. winning the fight.
Chris lost.
So I figured maybe Kell will end up fighting Conor Benn instead. And then this past week, a video of Kell Brook powdering his nose from the privacy of his own home. Then the Sun decided to post this video.
Inexplicably, I don't even know when it's from.
Or how they obtained it, how they got access to it. Whoever gave it to them likely knows Kell Brook personally, or someone that knows Kell Brook personally. This video comes out of Kell treating his nose, and suddenly, he doesn't seem like a prime candidate to take on Conor Benn anymore. Kell Brook issued out an official apology. The guy wants to treat his nose. What's he apologizing for?
The embarrassment that causes his friends and his family members.
Now, call me crazy, but I kind of get the sense that whoever gave the Sun that video likely wanted to sabotage Kell Brook being in the running for a Conor Benn fight. Sounds crazy at first, I know, but think about it.
When is that video from? Why did it all of a sudden surface?
Eddie can't do a fight between Conor and Kell now. You do it now, people are gonna criticize you for making a fight with a guy who's strung out on cocaine.
They're already trying to make Conor Benn's positive test Eddie Hearn's fault.
Just imagine he tries to make a fight between Conor and Kell under these circumstances, when this video of Kell powdering his nose is floating around.
Kell Brook was in the running for a Conor Benn fight, a Conor Benn comeback fight, up until that video surfaced.
And the fight made a lot of sense at either 154 or 160. Don't forget that Kell was eyeing the winner of Eubank versus Benn, which then became Eubank versus Smith.
I smell a saboteur.
The whole BBBOC, UCAT case, this thing.
I smell a saboteur.
Can't help but think that all these run-ins are somehow interconnected.
Think somebody's got an axe to grind with Conor Benn?
Or an axe to grind with Eddie Hearn, perhaps? He's trying to cripple him?
Who is?
That's the fucking question!
I don't know who Conor's gonna fight in his comeback fight, but it doesn't look like it's gonna be Kell.